Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me today with this podcast video. And you know how I like to get my podcast always started with a moment of silence followed by a serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers. So, if you would, a moment of silence, please. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. All right, well, let's get started. So, man, how's it going, everybody? Man, it's going pretty good for me. You know, you might be wondering what's up with my bandana. Well, today I got my happy face bandana, and the reason behind that is because today I'm happy. Today my life is going in the direction that it needs to go. Today my life is surrounded by happy and healthy and positive boundaries. And, you know, so I decided that, you know, I'm going to do my video today with my happy face bandana because that's how I feel inside. And I don't feel, sad, and I don't feel depressed, and I don't feel just, lost and lonely in a world that, was, taking from me the very existence of my soul and my happiness and so I decided that, hey, you know what, I'm gonna wear my happy face bandana because a lot of people who know me know that I wear a bandana all the time, or some sort of headband, and nobody's ever seen me with the happy face bandana, so I figured, hey, let me give it a shot today, right? So anyway, what I wanted to do today was talk to you a little bit about a verse that I came across, and I've been, kind of studying and really digging deep into this verse because, you know how I always start my, prayer in my, videos always with the serenity prayer, and I am just, I don't know, I'm really intrigued by that prayer because it's a prayer that I'm living my life through that prayer. And, just one of the things that I'm doing in this time in this go around in my, in recovery. And, the verse that I'm referring to is James 1, verse 5. And in James 1, verse 5, it says that, let me grab this here so I can read it to you. It says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. And man, that is such a powerful verse, and it when I read that verse, it automatically makes me think of the Serenity Prayer, that prayer that I recite before I start my podcast, and I'm gonna kind of go over that verse and kind of break it down in a sense, and maybe it'll bring clarity to you. Maybe it'll bring clarity to you, and maybe it will start to plant a seed, if you will. Maybe it starts opening up your mind a little bit to think a little bit broader, being a little bit more open-minded, a little bit more willing, and a little bit more truthful to, taking that first step into recovery. And if you're already in recovery, to take that first step into doing service work to broaden your recovery, to do the service work so that you can in turn there give away what has helped you along the way to get to this positive world of recovery and positivity. And I'm going to take these things off here, and I'm going to slip these glasses on real quick because I can't read without these. And all right, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I broke this down a little bit in a sense, and I'm gonna I'm just gonna go over what I think it means and where I think that it has helped me in my journey and the things that I do on the daily. And you know, this is a they say that there's 3 steps to discernment. And discernment is defined in a way that it says that discernment is the ability to make smart judgment about something. The noun discernment describes a wise way of judging between things or a particularly perceptive way of seeing things. So, if you notice there, it says describes a wise way of judging. And in other words, wise meaning wisdom. Wise coming from the word wisdom, and it says that it describes a wise way of judging between things or a particularly perceptive way of seeing things. Okay, now the word perceptive is good at understanding or figuring things out. Perceptive people are insightful, intelligent, and able to see what others cannot perceive. This means to see. So perceptive is a word to describe someone who is seeing, who is good at seeing. And when if you go back to the Serenity Prayer, it says that you're asking God to give you the courage to change things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Okay, it says, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, and courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Now, in the verse in James 5, it says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God, that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. Okay, so when you're praying that prayer and you're asking for wisdom to know the difference between the two, of changing things that you can't change, but only changing things that you can, but knowing how to know the difference between that, well, that comes through the wisdom that you need to have. And the only way to have wisdom, we're not talking about wisdom is in knowledge, in the things that you're reading and the things that you're listening to and the things that you're getting all this information into your brain. It goes beyond that. It means that, according to James, if you're lacking wisdom, because we're all smart people. We're all smart people. We all know right from wrong. You know what I mean? We all know what to do, what not to do. But it seems like sometimes we get into these things and we don't know how to get out of them, even though we know that they're wrong. I know when I was in my addiction, I knew that I was killing myself. I knew that I was feeding my body these bad things. But I couldn't stop, even though I knew I was killing myself. And I didn't stop until one day I cried out and asked God to help me get out of where I was at, to get out of the darkness, to get out of that funk that I was in. Like, God, is this where my life ends? This can't be it. I remember telling myself and yelling out, going, this can't be it. This can't be a guy who, got a bachelor's degree in project management, owned his own business, and succeeded in it, had a house, had the cars, had his kids with him, and then all of a sudden lost everything. This can't be where my life ends. This can't be where it stops for me. It can't be just me using these drugs all day, every day, doing ugly things, doing illegal things to maintain the addiction. This can't be me. And I can remember sitting there and crying out to God and asking him, and not asking lightly. I mean, I was cussing and I was just pissed off and crying and said, God, what the hell? What did I do so wrong in my life that I gotta go through this? Well, you know what? God has a weird way of working things. I didn't know it at the time, but I was asking for wisdom. And it says in that prayer, in that verse there, that if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God. In other words, God is inviting you to ask for the wisdom right there. You're getting a personal invitation. He's putting it right there in front of you, and he's saying, son, daughter, if you need wisdom, ask me. That giveth to all men liberally. In other words, he, without judgment, he wants to give you that abundantly. As much as you want. He's not saying just ask me, one time, or just, ask for a little bit, just enough to get you out of the situation. No. Because how many times have we been there where you just been, acting up and doing all these things. The next thing you know, you're in the doghouse with your woman, with your man, or with your job, with, yourself, whatever it is, with your parents. And then you're just like, God, please, man, if you just get me out of this one, I promise I'll do this, I'll do that. I promise. And what happens? He gets you out of it. Next thing you know, you might have worked at it a little bit, but you're back at it again. But see, that verse right there, that invitation that he says that if you lack wisdom, if you need wisdom, because if you're going through these trials and tribulations, he doesn't say that you only get one time. No, this is all day long, brother. All day long. That's an all day pass right there. Have you ever had an all day pass? You ever gone to Six Flags and had an all day pass? You'll ride every freaking ride you want, and you run into every fucking ride. Every ride you're going to it, and you're running, and you're getting on the ride, and you're getting that you get on them roller coasters, and then you run to the next one, and all day long you could do that. And that's what this is. All day long you can ask for the wisdom. And the part where it says that giveth to all men liberally, that means he's giving you an all-day pass, and you could use it all day without question as many times as you want, because he loves you that much. Because he thinks you're worth that much. Why? Because you're his baby. You're his son. You're his daughter. That's why. Those of you who have kids, what would you do for your kids? Probably everything, right? I know I would. I got 3 daughters, and I'll do everything for them girls. Don't got nobody come messing with them, because I'm front line and center right there. That's the kind of love that God got for you and for me. The other part of the verse says, and upbraideth not. These verses in the Bible kind of got these weird words, you know what I mean? And then you kind of like, man, well, what the heck does this mean? Upbraideth not. Who uses that? You know what I mean? If I was out in the street in my addiction days and I'm like, upbraideth not, what the hell? Hey, they would freaking slap me around or something, you know what I mean? But that is a freaking cool part of the verse. Upbraideth not, and it shall be given to him. What God is telling you right there is that it doesn't matter how many times you screwed up. It doesn't matter what race you are. It doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're straight, if you're transgender. It doesn't matter if you do heroin, or if you do coke, or if you do alcohol, or if you're bulimic, or if you're, depressed, or if you have PTSD. It doesn't matter if any of that. That part of the verse means that he gives you wisdom without judgment. He doesn't see a color in that. He's not biased in that part of the verse at all. That means that if you need wisdom to get you out of these situations, to get you out of the darkness and into this world of positivity and recovery, all you've got to do is ask, my brothers and sisters. It's that simple. And when I understood this, and I read that verse in the Bible and I hear sermons on it, and then I put it in context with the serenity prayer, and I put it in context with my recovery and my addiction and my childhood traumatic experiences and my PTSDs. Man, does life get so much clearer for me, because now I understand that God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Now I know. I'm not only praying, but when I'm praying that prayer, I'm also asking for the spiritual wisdom, because God says that it comes within. The light comes within us. What's so powerful about that is that we, as humans in existence on this earth, are nothing but matter. That's all we are. We're just like we're just like the refrigerator in your house. It's made of matter, so are we. It's just like that dog that's sitting right next to you, that cat. Even though they have a heartbeat, they walk around just like you and I do. They eat just like you and I do. They go to the bathroom just like you and I do. Doesn't matter. The difference is between us and them, and us and the rest of the matter, is that we have a heart and soul. We have a soul that we're able to intertwine the mind and the soul and seek that energy within, that power within, that God gives us the power to cast out demons. He gives us the power to take that first step. He gives us the power to know the difference in the things that you cannot change and in the things that you can. In other words, when you start living your life in a God-given wisdom life, that means your perception of the things that you are doing now are for God first. And then the positive things that you're doing in your life and the positive things that you're projecting out of your mouth, then in turn start being positive actions that you and me start doing. And man, when you start doing that kind of stuff and thinking that way and praying that way and asking for the wisdom in that way, you'll be surprised at how your life starts unfolding. You too, my brothers and sisters, will be wearing your happy face bandana, because that's where you're going to be. You're going to be happy doing the things that you're doing on the daily. Man, when I get up in the morning, in my dark days, I used to get up mad, looking for my bow. Pissed off because I'm wondering who the F got my bow and where the hell is it at. I get my stuff and I put it on the scale and I weigh it to make sure that nobody took anything out of it. Then I'll go to my secret stash spots and make sure nobody got that. You know, how insane is that? How insane is that? How freaking baffling, cunning and baffling is the disease that it makes you think that way. I'm here to tell you as proof in the pudding that you don't gotta live like that. If you live in the way that verse is telling you to live, and asking God for the wisdom and showing you the light and how to do that, the serenity prayer starts making a whole lot more sense. You know what I mean? You know, when God told Jesus to go to Mount Sinai and stay there, you know, after, you know, giving everybody the Our Father prayer, now he gives us the prayer and we read it and everything, and then, okay, you know, just reading. But how many times have you ever done that? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. After you do that prayer, how many times have you went out the next day, the next morning, and lived your life according to that prayer? Not very many of us. You know what I mean? A lot of us will take time and we'll go to church and we'll do all this, you know, quote unquote good godly things for a minute, but then turn around and go back to the, you know, to the grind in a sense, and in regular life, for those of you who are normal, and for those of us who quote unquote aren't normal and have this neurological brain disease, and according to me personally, in the form of PTSD, childhood traumatic experience, and addiction. Well, if I go back and just start living my life accordingly, then I get nowhere. You know what I mean? Why? Because I'm going back to my comfort zone. I'm going back to what Joel knows. Joel knows how to live life like this. Well, where's it been getting me? Not very far. You know what I mean? But how many of you have decided to walk the walk after talking the talk? That's where the wisdom comes in. That's where the wisdom comes in that my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ has given me. Whatever your higher power is, that's you. But my higher power is telling me that if I ask for the wisdom, God is going to put it in front of me. He's going to instill it in my mind to know and to have the courage to do things that I cannot change, do things that I can change, and knowing the difference between the two. Because it could get real, you know, weird sometimes when your mind starts thinking and thinking and thinking, you know. That's why I do a lot of meditation, because, you know, even when you're just sitting there praying or reading or anything like that, your mind's still rocking and rolling. You know what I mean? Haven't you ever, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times I'll be reading and the next thing you know, something just pops in my head. You know, because we have like 60,000 thoughts a minute. you know, or every day, something like that. There's like 60,000 thoughts a day or something like that. I forgot what the number is, but it's a lot. But to choose the things that we know are healthy and seek action to that is the key, the fine line of staying in the darkness and not. And in that verse, in James 1, chapter 5, God's giving you the permission. God's granting you permission. God is giving you a personal invitation to ask him. He's telling you, you ask me, and I'll give you that wisdom abundantly. All you got to do is ask. Without judgment, without any bad, you're not going to be, I'm not going to look at you different or anything like that. I'm not going to judge you. If you ask me, I'm giving it to you. That's what he's saying. And when you have wisdom like that, automatically automatically it starts working in you, man. And it's amazing how that works, because when I asked, I got it. They gave it to me. And I started doing things, not for me. I started doing things for God first. I understood that my actions have to be for him. You know what I mean? If I go to work, I got to go work for him first, so that in turn there he can bless me with whatever he wants and gives me the wisdom to know the difference between whatever it is he's putting in front of me. Because there's a lot of things out there that you could pick and choose from. And, that's where recovery comes in. That's where the recovery comes in, but that's where you have to roll your sleeves up and you have to get in the trenches. You got to get dirty and do the work, because it's just not going to happen for you. You know what I mean? Praying and asking for wisdom is work. You know what I mean? Because you got to seek from in here. You got to be open-minded, willing, and truthful about what you're asking for. You know what I mean? Because if you're deceiving yourself in any way, shape, or form, well, guess what, my brothers and sisters? It's not going to happen. You're going to be on the sidelines still, wondering, well, I did this, I did that, I prayed here, I prayed there. But did you really? Did you really? Because I can be truthful, honestly, here today and tell you, man, I think about you. I do. You know what I mean? And I think about use because I like to use. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I was this fiending addict. I just did it because I liked it. I liked the way it made me feel. Not to mention all the stuff that it masked, all the feelings, because it got my addiction goes deep with things that I went through all the adversities and ugly things that I've been through. It goes deep, but the thing is that since I used it at such an early age, I enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed it my whole life. That was the cunning, baffling thing. That is the fun. To me, that is Satan telling me and trying to convince me. It's like, dude, come on, you like it. You know you do. What are you doing? You know you're happy when you're there. Come on, what is all this? Put your big boy pants on and come on, man, come on back. He tells me that on a regular basis. And sometimes I got one foot out the door, dude. I'm serious, man. I do. But then I gotta pray. That's when I go to that verse and ask for the wisdom. God, I need you right now, because I seriously been thinking about using it, and I need to know. I need to know where I'm supposed to be going right now, because for me personally, the easy thing is going back to my default, going back to my comfort zone, and my comfort zone is bam in the misery, dude. You know what I mean? That's my comfort zone, is to be in the, as quote unquote those Mexicans call it la onda. That's where I want to be at. I want to be in la onda. I want to be in the mix. I want to be in doing the the things that are the dirty things, you know what I mean? Being in the hood and hanging out with the gangsters and the drugs and that sort of life, you know what I mean? Because I liked it. And I liked getting guys, so it's like, man, dude, come on now. But the thing is that inside, man, I was so miserable. I'm talking miserable. I was just hating myself inside because I was not only hurting myself, but I was hurting everybody around me, especially my family. You know what I mean? And my daughters, man, they're my freaking, they're all, man. And that's where I beat myself up mostly, is just letting them down. I felt that I was letting them down all the time, and the devil's really good at making you think stupid shit like that. And but nonetheless, I'm grateful today that I'm able to see those red flags. You know what I mean? And that's because I'm able now to understand what that serenity prayer means. It's a powerful prayer, my brothers and sisters. And God dang it, I just wish that every addict out there, everybody watching this podcast can understand how I understood that. You know what I mean? Because it finally came to me. You know what I mean? But I've recited that prayer many, many times in my life. And it just didn't hit me like it did this time. And it was just like clarity, man. It's just like the blinders came off, and I was like, what the hell have I been missing? I was like, man, dude, maybe I wasn't wearing these glasses when I was reading it back then, or what the hell? Maybe that's what I needed, was these holy glasses, man. But damn, I was like, what the heck, man? I finally understood it. But it was so clear. And the feeling that I got was so serene. That was that first part of the prayer when you said, grant me the serenity. Man, it was just that. I had this serene feeling that, wow, I don't have to mask the feelings with drugs, with isolation, with depression, with madness, of the things that I can't no control over. But I can only ask for the wisdom to let me know the difference of the things that I can control. And that's living my life today in the present, but not living it Joel's way. No. I ask for the wisdom to let me live my life the way my God sees fit, my higher power sees fit. And to let Joel know that, hey, we're going to do it God's way now, my brother. And you know what? Since I've been doing that, boy, my life's been, got the happy bandana on, man. You know what I mean? So it's working. But man, I guess that was my topic for the day, I guess. You know what I mean? Here I was gonna do this whole bandana topic, and then I was like, no, man, let me throw this thing that's been really setting in here, that's been really, something's been really urging me to speak about that. So I wanted to bring that in and incorporate the bandana and way with it. So, but I really appreciate you guys watching my podcast, man. You know what I mean? And if you would please at this time, if you would please subscribe to my channel, because man, my thing here is that I want to spread the message of recovery and positivity and sobriety to the addict who still suffers, and to the person who's already in recovery, to take that first step and to do the due diligence in your service work to help another addict, to help another person in depression, to help another person who's homeless, to help another person who's got PTSDs and going through it. You know what I mean? We all have different problems. But the good book, the big book, and the NA book does say that addicts help other addicts to the world of recovery. You know what I mean? And Believe it or not, the Bible is just the same way. The Bible is full of prophetic people who are carrying a message, and that message is God. Carrying the message and the fact that God gave up his son to hang on that cross for you and I, to pay for our sins so that we wouldn't have to. But he gives us the wisdom to know, to have that choice of living our life accordingly, according to his ways and not the ways of the devil. So, I know in my life personally, and the devil was winning, man, because I was, everything was for him. I was playing into that. Everything in my life I was doing for him and not for God first. Even though it's deceitful, you know what I mean? The devil's deceitful. He can make you think that that your life is going good. You know what I mean? You're living your life. You're making all this money. You got a good job, the cars, all this stuff. You're tithing 10% at the church on Sundays. But you ain't living for God. You living to keep up with the Joneses. You living to pay that next bill. You living to pay that car payment, that insurance, them legal fees, the food to put on your table. You know what I'm saying? How many times have you gone and took a bag of groceries to somebody who needed it before you fed your family? Not many of us. I can guarantee you that. How many times have you gone to the gas station and pumped up somebody else's gas with your card and then pumped your own car afterwards? Not many of us. How many times have you gone to the nearest diner, to the nearest fast food place, and gotten your order and went straight home? Probably a lot of us. But how many times have you gone to that same restaurant and paid for the guy behind you? And then gone to another restaurant and got food again and paid for somebody else and then got your meal? Hardly any of us. So you see what I'm saying? You could be living a good life, but that's your life. You're living it the way you want. But that only goes so far. Because ultimately, because I lived that life. I lived a life, man. I had a business that was thriving. I had a home. I had cars. And I had an abundant life, you know what I mean? I had, $80,000 in the bank all the time, and freaking business was booming, and I was rocking and rolling. And in one freaking snap, God took it all away. And I sat there wondering, man, what the hell? God, what happened? What the hell did I do? And I figured out, what I didn't do was I wasn't living for God first. Remember, God can take that away just like that, because he did me. Then I started leading my life through Satan, because everything I did was negative and false. After that, I wound up homeless in the streets and selling drugs to do drugs, stealing, doing licks to get drugs, and that's how I lived my life. But I started liking it. I started talking to myself in. I started thinking that this was the shit. I like this. Even though deep down inside, I knew that I hated it. I didn't want to be there. But I had to go through that stuff. I had to go through all those adversities. I had to live under the bridge. I had to live in the chin. I had to live in a bando. I had to live in somebody's garage. I had to live in motels, sell drugs, and do the girl thing and all that stuff. I did all of that stuff. I had to do that so that one day, when it was enough, I finally clicked and asked. And when I asked, God says, if you ask, you shall receive. I'm a firm believer because I asked and I did receive. I don't got a house. I don't got a car. I don't have the abundant life I had. But you know what? I got this bandana right here, my brother, my sisters. This is, see that? That's happy face bandana. Because I feel happy inside. I feel like the weight is lifted off my shoulders, man. You don't know how that feels until you feel it. And when I go through these verses and these things are put in front of me, I can see them, I can pick them up like that and understand them. I'm like, wow. God, give me the wisdom, my brother. Because I need it. I don't know how to live my life anymore without it. I don't want to live my life. That's the thing, is that you get the wisdom to know the difference of the things that come in here. And when you can pick and choose the ones and the things that you think about, so when you think them and you bring them into existence, your actions reflect. And my brother, since I've been doing that, man, my actions have been reflecting exactly that. You know, I promised myself and I told myself, one of the things that I really had this desire to help people, who were homeless, to help people who were addicted. And I'm not all the way there yet, but this is one of the first things that I'm doing, is doing this podcast. Because I said, if I could share my message, if I could share my story, because my story is long, you know what I mean? I went through a lot of different types of adversities in my life. And now knowing that if I lead through God first, man, life gets so much better. Because there for a long time, man, I didn't believe crap. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't getting nothing but freaking rotten eggs sent to me. I was like, man, this is just not right. You know, here I thought I was living this really cool life, helping everybody and all this stuff. Yeah, I was doing that. But that's not all. That's not all. Helping people and giving 10% to the church, yeah, that's good. But if I'm not leading my life through God first, you know, I'm a God. I was one of them weekend warrior dudes. You know what I mean? Only on Sundays did I do that. Monday through Friday, I thought it was the last thing I ever thought about. Sometimes not at all. You know what I mean? Every now and then I'd miss a couple Sundays. So, you know, I wasn't leading, you know, I thought I was leading but I wasn't. And God had to shake me up a little bit. You know what I mean? He shook me up quite a bit, you know what I mean? You know, because I lost everything. But, you know, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. You know what I mean? You have to be open-minded and willing to do the work, to get in the grind, to get in there and do it. Because I wasn't. Even though, you know, I was doing that in my job to get all this money. But when it came to you know, my God, I wasn't doing nothing. The only time I talked to him mostly was when something was going bad. You know what I mean? Or at night. At the end of the day, sometimes I would pray, sometimes I forget to pray. But it was just like one of them, okay, our Father, da-da-da-da-da, boom, let me go to sleep. It was just kind of the motions, you know what I mean? But until there was some adversity, you know, I was, you know, in jail or something like that, then, oh my God, please, man, the last time. Or if I was in trouble with my, you know, when I was married, and I was in trouble with the wife, I wouldn't be in the dog. Oh God, just get me out of this thing. You know? Because I wound up losing my wife too. Because I wasn't living for God first. But I understand that now, and you know, all you got to do is ask. And he's telling you in that verse, James 1:5, if you're lacking wisdom, all you got to do is ask for it, and you shall get it. And believe it when you're asking for it. And make sure that you know that you have to do the work. And this is part of my work, is doing these video podcasts, to sharing my experiences and sharing what I know has helped me along the way to get to this place of positivity and recovery and spirituality and loving myself and loving others and not caring what anybody thinks, but only doing this for God first. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I guess that's going to be it for today. So, and again, please hit the subscribe button, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, give me a comment, share my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And I guess until the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.